And Growthpoint Properties has grown its distributable income 3.9% at the halfway stage of the financial year. That's mainly due to an improved contribution from its South African operations. That unit benefited from like-for-like rental growth, lower negative rent reversions, and reduced vacancies in the logistics and industrial sector, as well as improved expense efficiencies and recoveries. The owner of the V&A Waterfront says it's upbeat about its prospects. That's as improving perception of South Africa's political landscape is creating a more favourable environment for the Reit sector, while lower inflation, further potential interest rate relief, and limited load shedding is also supporting a more favourable outlook. Well, to get into the detail of the numbers and the company's prospects is Growthpoint's SA CEO, Estienne de Klerk. Estienne, thanks so much for your time this evening. So, as mentioned, distribution came in higher. The group also seems upbeat about its prospects. Before we get into the outlook, just contextualize the 6 months that was for us.
Good evening, again, good evening to the viewers. We've had a pretty decent 6 months, a recently decent recovery from the very difficult 5 years post-COVID. And I think the South African portfolio, as you mentioned earlier, was the main driver for this growth. We saw like-for-like income growth from the South African portfolio, which is retail, shopping centres, logistics and industrial properties and office buildings. And this portfolio grew at 6.8% like-for-like. So that was a combination of letting and additional income from reduced vacancies. And then on the other hand, some of the good work that has been done on the cost side of things, and also, adding quite a bit of solar into the mix on certainly our industrial properties and on our retail properties has saved us some cost, and then obviously benefited our clients who occupy these properties with green power.
And we'll get into that renewables energy project in just a bit. I just want to get your sentiments around the office property sector. You did mention that we are starting to see a recovery post-COVID. How does it look like in the office property in particular, especially now that we are also seeing lower interest rates coming through?
Yeah, so the interest rates definitely will help us from a balance sheet perspective. We have a loan to value ratio which we've improved to 40.8%, and any interest rate reduction will drop straight to the bottom line for us. As it relates to the demand in offices, I'm not sure whether, ultimately the demand in office is driven by economic growth, and that's been the biggest challenge for office more than any other issue. Is, if the South African economy is not growing, then the demand has been difficult. We have managed to bring down the vacancies from 17.8% in the comparable period to the 15.9% where it is today, but that's still relatively high. And then the like-for-like income in office grew at 9.4%. So as a result of a combination of savings as well as the letting that we have done. But the market in Gauteng remains pretty difficult. Specifically Sandton, which is quite knowledge-based industries, and they haven't particularly grown headcount. But in Cape Town and certainly in Umhlanga Ridge, where we have offices, the market is in fact pretty strong, and we're actually seeing strong rental growth in those markets now.
Would you say then that immigration theme or trend is what's playing out within Umhlanga and the Western Cape?
I think it might have a little bit of a contribution, there's no doubt. But I think what we've seen in both those two nodes is that there's been quite a lot of business process outsourcing outfits that have located in those nodes, and both in Cape Town and in KwaZulu-Natal, and they've been occupiers that have been taking up quite substantial space. So it is a little bit of a growth industry for South Africa, and we have in fact started seeing, as the rentals have gone up on the coastal regions, we're starting to be being able to attract some of those to Gauteng as well.
You mentioned, that the group is making progress with getting off the grid and relying less on Eskom. But, a new risk has emerged, and that around water shortages. How's the group attacking that issue in particular?
Yeah, so obviously Growthpoint, been very involved in a sustainability plan for many years now. Clearly, energy was the main focus initially, and I mean we've rolled out solar capacity of over 52 meg already, and we're currently busy with a variety of very innovative products around energy. And the water side started with a lot of focus. If you remember, we had day zero a couple of years ago down in Cape Town, so it really did start there. And since then, we've pretty much made sure that many of our facilities have backup water facilities, tanks. In fact, most of the industrial facilities you're forced to really put tanks in, not because you're looking for backup water, but because the water pressure is so poor that you can't meet your fire regulations. So really, some of those poor services have probably assisted us in being nearly in front of the game when it came to water supply.
Estienne, thanks so much for taking us through the 6 months that was for Growthpoint. That was the CEO of Growthpoint SA, Estienne de Klerk.